Welcome to the Adventures of the Monad. We have looked at 6 of the 7 chakras that are generally spoken about in the context of white magic. There are 3 that are not spoken about, and you can guess why. We have now come to the last of chakra on our list. This center, the 7th, situated at the top of the head, is somewhat different in construction from the other 6. It is described in Indian books as the 1,000-petaled lotus, though the actual number of radiations of the primary force is 960. In addition to this, it possesses a sort of subsidiary whirlpool or minor activity in its central portion, which has 12 undulations or spokes of its own. When fully active, this chakra is perhaps the most resplendent of all, full of indescribable chromatic effects and vibrating with an almost inconceivable rapidity. The central portion is gleaming white, flushed with gold at its heart. The center receives in its outer portion the violet ray, which passes through the throat center, while in its central portion it receives the green ray from the heart center. The arousing of the corresponding emotional center rounds off and completes the emotional life, endowing a person with the perfection of their faculties. With most people, the emotional chakras corresponding to the 6th and 7th etheric chakras both converge upon the pituitary body, this organ being practically the only direct link between the physical and the higher planes. The monads in their later stages in their sojourn through the 4th kingdom of nature, however, while the 6th chakra is still attached to the pituitary body, the 7th is bent or slanted until it coincides with the atrophied organ known as the pineal gland, which with these individuals becomes a direct line of communication with the mental envelope. It achieves this without apparently passing through the intermediate emotional plane in the ordinary way. Quite how it manages this, I do not know. This explains the emphasis sometimes laid on the development of the pineal gland. The awakening of the crown etheric center enables a person, through it, to leave the physical body in full consciousness and also to re-enter it without the usual break in memory, so that their consciousness will be continuous throughout night and day. This we have often spoken about as continuity of consciousness. The real reason for priests shaving their hair on the top of their head, known as a tonsure, was practiced by the Roman Catholic Church and also, for that matter, by samurai warriors. The reason they did this was to leave uncovered the Brahmarandhara chakra, as the crown chakra is known in India. This is done so that there is not even the slightest hindrance in the way of psychic forces, which in their meditations the candidates intend to try to arouse. As an aside, since I was about 18, I have always worn a hat while outside the house, day or night, rain or shine. It was just instinctive. I did this precisely for the opposite reason, to protect this chakra. I have never liked anyone touching the top of my head, much to the dismay of my wife. Let us now go on and look at something else linked to the flow of energy in our bodies, that of discharges. Just as the dense physical body uses up its materials and discharges its waste products through 5 excretory organs, the skin, lung, liver, intestines and kidney, so does the etheric body use up the material with which it is supplied. It gets this energy through the physical food and absorption of the vitality globules. These are discharged as waste, particles in various ways. A diagram of these discharges is presented here. The result it shows being described as follows. Through the breath and the pores of the skin are expelled both the bluish-white particles from which the prana has been extracted. These particles are still charged with rose-colored prana. they are superfluous to requirements of the body. Along with these particles are the atoms from the blue rays used by the throat center. Through the excretory organs pass the emptied atoms of the orange ray, from the digestive system, and also, in the case of most of humanity, those of the red-orange ray. Through the top of the head passes the atoms from the dark blue and violet rays. In a spiritually developed person, however, who has achieved the deflection upwards of the red-orange ray from the base of the spine, the particles from this ray are discharged through the top of the head. These form a fiery cascade frequently shown as a flame in ancient statues of Buddha and other saints. Atoms which have been emptied of prana become once more like any other atom. Some of them are absorbed by the body and enter into various combinations which are constantly being made, while others which are not required are thrown off through any convenient channel. In addition to what has been described so far, the matter of the etheric double itself is also constantly being thrown out of the body through the pores of the skin, just as is gaseous matter. Consequently, people who are near one another are liable to absorb each other's etheric emanations. That would make for a novel chat-up line. Come closer to me and let me imbibe your etheric emanations. Don't try this unless you are very sure of who you are propositioning, or you will spend the rest of your life alone. The radiation of etheric matter is strongest from the ends of the fingers and toes, hence the great importance of scrupulous cleanliness in these parts of the body. A person with dirt under their fingernails, for example, is continually pouring forth a stream of unhealthy influences into the etheric world. Tell that to your children as you scrub them in the bath. The physical emanations of the body, consisting largely of finely divided salts, appear to clairvoyant sight as multitudes of tiny forms, such as dice, stars, and double pyramids. The character of these tiny particles may be affected by loss of health, by a wave of emotions, or even a defined train of thought. In this connection, it has been reported A, that the material emanations of the living body differ according to the state of the mind, as well as the conditions of the physical health. B, that these emanations can be tested by the chemical reactions of some salts of selenium. C, that these reactions are characterized by various tints or colors according to the nature of the material impressions, and D, that 40 different emanation products have been characterized so far by Professor Gates in the last century. Let us summarize what we have discussed so far regarding the etheric and emotional chakra systems and their link to the absorption and distribution of vitality globules, otherwise known as prana. Prana emanates from the sun and is an atom that forms a string of 6 other atoms. This forms a vitality globule. This is absorbed from the emotional plane via the etheric spleen or sacral chakra into the body. This energy can be stored in the physical spleen and released into the body during the night, when the monad, along with its emotional and mental envelopes, withdraws from the physical etheric body. The spleen sacral chakra acts as a distribution hub and shifts pink rays, the primary ray, into the nervous system to energize it. What is not used by the nervous system is expelled and forms a mist around the body. You can think of this as a vitality shell or aura. The more fully vitalized surplus energy that is excreted, the more resistant the physical organism is to disease. The spleen circulates orange energy to the sacral center, which nourishes the abdomen and reproductive organs. It sends orange and red rays to the base of the spine to warm the blood. Shown here is also energy flowing to the sex organs. I'm not sure this is entirely correct, but I cannot confirm it myself. What does happen in more advanced monads is that energy from the base of the spine can be redirected up the spinal column to the brain, where it facilitates greater intellect, affection, and spirituality. Green rays are sent to the heart, which sends these on to the brain, to the central portion of the crown chakra, to be precise, the one with 12 spokes. The throat chakra receives two streams of energy, violet and blue, from the spleen center. This passes on violet globules to the upper brain and blue ones to the lower and central brain. This also feeds into the crown chakra along with the green rays from the heart. Visible in this diagram can be seen white flashes entering each of these chakra centers. These flashes indicate that each chakra is directly linked to its counterpart in the emotional envelope, receiving the appropriately colored ray energy directly. The special role provided by the spleen center is in the receiving and distribution of vitality globules. The last diagram in this series shows the connection between each chakra center, the color of the vitality globules moving between them, the entry of energy from the emotional envelope showing as white flashes, and the activities each chakra fosters. Starting with the base of the spine, you have the Kundalini, which we will be dealing with next in greater detail. The sacral center is linked to the sex drive and creativity, not to mention being the dynamo to the vitality distribution and energizing the nervous system, shown as the pink dots. The navel or solar plexus is the center of our emotions due to its direct linkage with its counterpart in the emotional envelope. It is also the seat of emotional clairvoyance. The heart fosters understanding and empathy in a person when it is activated. This takes time. Most people function from their emotional center, thinking this as being what represents love and affection. When fully activated, the throat center allows the persona to receive audible messages, from whom or what we can debate, but it does not just represent speech and higher creativity, but sound as well, which I guess is linked to speech. The brow receives energy like all the other centers directly from the emotional envelope, and I am not sure how this chakra center is linked to the others. Finally, the crown center, besides being connected to the other envelopes of incarnation, is also linked to the throat and the heart. A note is placed on this diagram that states that the vital force received from the higher planes is made up of all 7 colors, but one predominates in each center. In the next presentation, we go on to a topic which I guess you'll be very interested in, that of the Kundalini. Thank you.